Growing up, Florida was always viewed as the cool program as they were led by Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow. Every kid wanted to go to Florida or was a Gator fan, but since then, the program has been in a consistent decline, and some are getting ready to hit the panic button on the Billy Napier era after 2 seasons. But I think that may be an overreaction as of 2023, and I think Napier can turn things around. But can Florida return to college football national title contention? Stay tuned to find out. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I plan to release a video every day from now until Christmas. Also, let me know if you think Florida can turn things around to return to the top of the college football world in the comment section below. Florida was one of the top football programs in the world when Urban Meyer decided to retire the first time. Will Muschamp found success at first, sending multiple players to the NFL draft, and even took them to the 2012 Sugar Bowl, where they finished ranked inside the top 10 of the AP polls with an 11-2 record. But after a 4-8 and 6-5 season, he would be fired. Muschamp told the press, "I was given every opportunity to get it done here, and I simply didn't win enough games. That is the bottom line. I'm disappointed that I didn't get it done, and it is my responsibility to get it done." Jim McElwain followed and recruited some great players, but did not do it consistently enough. While he brought in guys like Kyle Trask, a 22-12 record was not good enough, and he was fired midway through the 2017 season. The Dan Mullen era started off strong with back-to-back double-digit win seasons, but a rough 2020 season saw him start considering the NFL out of nowhere, and he sort of checked out during the 2021 season. Trask, Kadarius Toney, and Kyle Pitts thrived under him, but according to the staff members, 2020 changed Mullen as a coach. In the pandemic-shortened season, Florida was indeed excellent. Trask, Toney, and Pitts fueled an offense that ranked number 8 in the nation in yards per play, but for the second consecutive season, Mullen, traditionally a run-first play caller, found success with more passes than runs. The Gators beat Georgia for the first time since 2016, and in the SEC title game, they proved to be the toughest opponent eventual national champions Alabama played all season. Mullins claimed that the 2020 Florida team's season ended with the SEC title game, felt like an excuse for a 55-20 Cotton Bowl loss to Oklahoma. Things started to get weird 4 days later with 13 words from ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter during a 30-second segment on the network's NFL pregame show. Dan Mullen in the college ranks is open to going to the pros. He then did not adapt his system for quarterbacks like Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson, and his dedication to recruitment, or lack thereof, became apparent. With his buyout not changing, Florida decided to make a change, and Scott Strickland knew his next coaching decision might be his last. At the time, Florida was trying to catch up to the rest of the SEC with facilities as well. So, Florida turned to Billy Napier, who was known as a great recruiter and former Saban assistant. Many seem to forget that when Florida decided to hire Billy Napier, he was viewed as one of the top coaching prospects in the nation. He came from the Nick Saban coaching tree, with many comparing him to being Saban-esque with how he went about doing things. He recruited at a high level. He followed the same process Saban did, and he was the lead recruiter on the top prospects he was trying to bring in. Many want to compare what Saban did his first year at Alabama, how things went for Napier at the helm. Andy Staples wrote earlier this year, Alabama's #1 rated 2008 recruiting class, Saban's first with a full recruiting cycle to work, might be the greatest of all time. It included a Heisman Trophy winner, Mark Ingram, an Outland Trophy winner, Barrett Jones, 5 first-round picks, and 2 possible NFL Hall of Famers in Julio Jones and Dante Hightower. That class provided the building blocks for 3 national titles in 2009, 2011, and 2012, and the head-to-head recruiting battles Alabama won provided proof of concept that Saban could turn things around for the Tide's fortune after a rough first season. Florida's 2023 recruiting class ranked number 14 in the country. Yet what has failed to be mentioned is the fact that Saban was a national championship winning head coach already, with NFL experience, so he had a vision he could easily sell. Napier, on the other hand, did not have the same accolades when he first took over at Florida. Napier had served as an assistant for Clemson, South Carolina State, Alabama, Colorado State, and Arizona State. He took over for Mark Hudspeth at Louisiana. Hudspeth had led the Raging Cajuns to their first ever bowl game berth since 1970 in 2011, but after a 29-38 record, he was fired and forced to vacate 22 wins after NCAA violations that included academic fraud and payment to players by assistant coaches. Napier found immediate success going 7-7 and won the Sun Belt West division and followed that up with 3 straight double-digit winning seasons, with the latter 2 seeing the Raging Cajuns win the conference and finished ranked inside the AP Top 25. When he was hired at Florida, he left Louisiana with a 40-12 record. While that is all impressive, it was not the same track record Saban had going into Alabama, i.e. success at Michigan State and a national title at LSU. I think expectations were set a little too high for what Napier was going to be able to produce in his first year at Florida. Florida struggled last season going 6-7, led by top 5 pick Anthony Richardson, with embarrassing loss to Vanderbilt and a 30-3 loss to Oregon State during their bowl game. While they were blown out by Georgia, they kept it close with Tennessee, LSU, and Florida State, having opportunities to win each of those games, but falling short at the end. Many questioned Napier heading into the 2023 season, seeing the complete roster reconstruction, guys like Lincoln Riley, who had found success at Oklahoma and went to the college football playoffs multiple times at Oklahoma, and Deion Sanders at Colorado were able to do, and why Napier couldn't do the same at Florida. But as we have seen, with USC going 7-5 with national title hopes this year, and Colorado failing to make a bowl game this season, maybe that's not the best way to construct a roster. Napier brought in Wisconsin transfer quarterback Graham Mertz to take over for Richardson when he departed for the NFL draft, and Florida saw some Mullen-era players enter the transfer portal. I love Graham Mertz and want to see him find a lot of success in his career, but at the time he was never going to bring Florida to the national title contention. After struggling at Wisconsin, he was trying to revive his career and prove he was the real deal by going to the SEC. Going into the season, Florida had an over-under win total of 5.5, and they met what Vegas expected, losing to Florida State in their last game, with them sitting at 5 wins. A great win over Tennessee earlier in the season made it seem like they could be on the right track, but all that excitement came crashing down to earth with their loss to Kentucky. They looked to be in the game against Georgia, only being down 10-7 after the end of the first quarter, but a strange 4th down call to start the second quarter on their own 31 took all the air out of the team, and Georgia went on to score 26 unanswered points en route to a 43-20 win. That was followed by a 39-36 loss to Arkansas in Gainesville, and Florida went into the Florida State game on a 4-game losing streak, which was then extended to 5. A once promising season which saw them sitting at 5-2 now had them missing a bowl game. But there could be hope for the future of Florida. During his opening press conference back in 2021, Napier said, "You guys are probably going to get frustrated with me. We're going to be very patient and calculated about everything that we do." He knew this was going to be a process to turn them into the team the fan base wanted. But then the Jaden Rashada stuff seemed like a slight embarrassment for the school. Jaden Rashada, who was offered a 4-year, $13.8 million name, image, and likeness contract by a collective attached to Florida. The deal was voided when the money promised to back the contract didn't materialize. Rashada signed with Florida, but after another deal couldn't be reached, he was released from his letter of intent and enrolled at Arizona State. Andy Staples wrote earlier this year, "A more consolidated, advanced organization would have ensured that there was money behind any deal, but it would have ensured such a contract was never written. The amount was far too high for a 4-star prospect. A reigning Heisman Trophy winner is unlikely to command that much money." The deal also called for $500,000 in payment on December 1st, before Rashada was allowed to sign a letter of intent with Florida. That would have violated NCAA rules against using NIL deals as inducements. In a way, Florida was fortunate the financial backing fell through. Florida fixed their NIL issues as they now have a unified collective, now known as the Florida Victorious, led by Ryan Dunn and former Gators booster fundraiser Eric Reasoning. The collective should help Florida catch up in recruiting, as it was on the back foot when NIL was introduced. They now sit with the 5th best recruiting class for the 2024 recruiting cycle, with the early signing period quickly approaching. Napier should also have the time to get things together, as he has a $31.9 million buyout at the end of the season. While it may not look like it now, in my opinion, I actually think Florida football is on a positive trajectory. I know the expectations to win now, but you know the program needed to build back up rather than get flash-in-the-pan results. I think this is a long-term plan that could pay off for the Florida fan base. What do you think? Can Florida return to being an SEC and national title contender? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more college football content. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.